Hi, so here is the first week of my series, Building Redwall out of Legos. I am a fan of the Redwall books by Brian Jacques, as well as a fan of Legos. I'm actually reliving a childhood dream of mine that I long forgot when I was around 10 years old. Again, I was obsessed with both of these things and thought, wouldn't it be awesome if I built Redwall Abbey out of Legos? And so I did that last summer, spent a few months building it, actually prompted by my 8-year-old son. He's been reading the Redwall books as well. We'd both been, well, I'd been revisiting the series. He's being introduced to it, and it was kind of a shared thing that we had. And my kid suggested my next project to be Redwall Abbey, and so that's what I wanted to do. But I wanted this MOC, this creation, not just be something that stays in my house all day. I wanted to share it with others, and so I reached out to my local library, and they agreed to let me put Redwall on display. Here are some images, of course, of that Redwall build. It was my first build at this size, especially freestyling it, making it up as I go along. So I learned a lot of things. I'm still trying to improve my building techniques and my styles and building things out. But not long after it went on display, I was already thinking on how can I improve this? How can I change things up? And so I went ahead and went back for inspiration. And so here are some things. I know it's called Redwall Abbey, and the books borrow terminology of Christianity, talking about brothers and friars and abbots. But realistically, this is a society removed from Christianity. There was no mouse Jesus who died and created this religion. And so I was struggling to think of, okay, what are some examples of Gothic architecture divorced from Christianity? Because obviously I could look to cathedrals, and I did for my first build, but at the same time, I didn't want it to feel too Christian. And so I found a couple images. Here's one, of course, that really inspired me. Granted, it's a lot more fantastical than I could do with Legos. I'm still trying to learn how to do round towers, and I don't really have the pieces for all these towers and stuff. But this was kind of more of what I imagined Redwall Abbey to be in my mind, especially now revisiting the books. And here is, but yeah, as I said, I was trying to find Gothic architecture that wasn't cathedrals, and then it hit me, maybe I should look at universities. And so I found this image from, I think it's Oxford, but maybe it's Cambridge. I don't know. Someone in the comments is going to correct me. But I believe this is, it really spoke to me as far as, the design, the layout, things like that. So I was really inspired by this to come up with a new layout for Redwall Abbey. So here it is. Just kind of walking you through it. I've divided up. It's actually bigger. So my first Redwall was 2x2 base plates. I've expanded it to 3x2 and in sections. So we'll have 2 plates that are linked to other 2 plates, other 2 plates. That way I can take it apart if I need to transport this. But yeah, so kind of divided it up into 3 sections, and I'm working on these 2 sections for now. But right over here, this first building is the Great Hall, where they eat their meals. It's kind of a central location in the books. Got a fireplace going, got a lot of rubble. I'm a very messy builder. I leave pieces everywhere, if you can't tell. This is my main build space on top of this bookshelf, because it's the one place where my toddler can't reach. She is very destructive. But yeah, so this is what Redwall Abbey is looking like after my first week. I've just been going to town, working really hard at this to get the walls up and the stained glass windows. Speaking of which, one of the reasons why I wanted to redesign Redwall Abbey is the first time around I came up with these stained glass window designs, but I didn't really think how I was going to hang them or mount them to the Abbey. So I came up with this really silly way of using bricks with studs on the side, but that didn't fit very well, and it just looked weird, and the windows would fall out easily, and so it was a bad idea. So this time around, I decided to do a 3-deep wall with a hollow space in the center where I can slide in the stained glass windows, and that's working a whole lot better. I also feel like it's going to make the walls sturdier, being 3 deep instead of just 1 stud deep, as well as, again, like I said, making it look better and more realistic. But yeah, coming back to the Great Hall, it's got these 2 walls that'll swing open and close. That way you can access the minifigures inside and play. A key part of my design, especially this time around, was making it playable. I've got 2 young ones who are very interested in playing with Redwall, and I really want them to. And so tried to make this build modular with these dollhouse style doors that'll open up so that you can play on the interior. The other 2 buildings will they'll be more modular, where you can remove the floors and the ceilings to access the bottom floor versus the top floor. But yeah, so this second building over here, this is where the kitchen and the cavern hole are going to be. Cavern hole, of course, being a place where people can relax. Well, the animals can relax and hang out. I imagine it to have nice, comfortable armchairs and couches and sofas, as well as this fireplace over here for them to sit by. I've got one of the doors to the outside is over here, a brick-built door of my own design. Yeah, moving on then to the kitchen. This, of course, was it's also an important part of the books. The Redwall books include a lot of descriptions of the feasts and the food, and so I really wanted to build a kitchen large enough for them to create these feasts. So I've got shelves with food, shelves with some goblets and cups and things like that, as well as this oven, lots of cabinets, a sink, and yeah. And then in between the cavern hole and the kitchen is a stairwell to connect to the dormitories on the second floor, as well as to go into the secret wine cellar. So if you lift up this platform here, we can get to the wine cellar, where I've got some barrels and things like that. Obviously, again, it's very important for the creatures at Redwall to have their wine and their ale, and so I definitely wanted to include that and to give it a sense of depth to my MOC. But yeah, again, something my kids, being young, asked about when I was building this and putting in the interiors was, where are the bathrooms? I don't know. I never thought about that. And so thinking of maybe putting a bathroom over here in this section of the Great Hall, as well as maybe over here next to the kitchens. Again, headcanon part, I know that they likely didn't have running water, and so faucets are kind of, that'll stand out. But at the same time, I had all these faucet pieces that I wanted to use, and I thought it would be easier not only to build, but also to understand as a as a kid or whoever that these are sinks as opposed to wash basins or something. Still got to figure out how I'm going to do toilets. Maybe it'll just be, I don't know, outhouse style things where, everything drops down to the bottom. I don't know. I'm not going to think this too deeply about this, but I'm sure my kids will, because potty humor is potty humor to them. But yeah, so here's kind of a layout of kind of what the footprint is going to look like with the 3 different buildings and the 3 different sections. But yeah, so this is where Redwall is at right now. I've been working furiously at this, giving a lot of time and effort to get all these walls put up, and yeah, so hopefully next week I'll have some more to update you on and show off.